We are nearing the end of another year, and I want to show you 5 quality entry-level turntables that I recommend for 2025, and not one of them is over $400. In fact, a couple of them are half that cost. If there's one thing that I've been focusing on recently, and if you've been watching this channel, you've heard me talk about this. You don't have to spend thousands of dollars for a quality vinyl record experience. In fact, you can do so for less than $400, and that's what I want to talk about. So let's get right to it. First on my list, well, actually the first 2 on my list are from the same company. And that's no big surprise because I am a big fan of this company. And whenever somebody is looking to get into records and asks for an opinion from me on, what I recommend they get that won't break their budget, this is this is always my go-to. The Audio-Technica AT LP60 XBT. Now, I owned an earlier version of this, the LP60, maybe, I think about 10 years ago. And I had it hooked up to a pair of powered Edifier speakers. And I ended up giving it to my father-in-law when he wanted to start listening to his vinyl records again, and I was looking for an upgrade. The reason that I always, steer folks towards the AT-LP60s is because it's fully automatic. There is nothing to be intimidated about if you're just getting into the experience. And it has some great features too. It's belt driven. It's got a built-in phono stage, so all you really need other than the turntable itself is a pair of powered speakers. And if you happen to have a separate amp or receiver that has a phono stage, then you're all set. You can just turn off the AT-LP60's phono stage and plug right into the phono of your amp or receiver. It has an AT3600L cartridge with a conical stylus, and it comes fully set up and the anti-skate is built in. Yes, I hear the groans out there when I say that the anti-skate is built in, and I do myself like to dial everything in personally, but we're talking entry level here, and you really can't do much better than this. At the push of a button, it does the rest. The AT-LP60 is a great place to start. All you need is a record, and like I said, a pair of powered speakers, and you're good to go. But this model, the AT-LP60 XBT, also has Bluetooth. That's what the BT stands for. So if you have a pair of Bluetooth speakers, you can wirelessly play your music and send your music to those speakers. Like I said, it's an excellent place to start. And it's right around $200. I think at the time I'm recording this, it's around $219. I said that there were 2 from this company that I recommend. The other is an upgrade to the LP60. This is the LP70X. You can get it without Bluetooth for just under $200 or with Bluetooth for $50 more. It has all the features that the AT-LP60 has, but the LP70 has a slightly sleeker look, I would say. The engineers, when they were designing the AT-LP70, redesigned the chassis to reduce vibrations. Everything I said about the AT-LP60 applies to the AT-LP70 with one exception. This comes with an ATV M95C cartridge, and this also has a conical stylus. While the cartridge isn't replaceable, the stylus is. It's very easy to take the old one out and put a new one in. Both the AT-LP60 and the LP70 have a aluminum platter and a felt mat that comes with it, and you can always replace the mat for something else. The next one on my list, around the $250 mark, is another favorite of mine and another favorite company of mine. They're based right here in the US. Actually, they're in Massachusetts, which is just a state over from me. It's U-Turn, and the one I'm talking about today is the U-Turn Orbit. So if you like a little bit more of a manual approach, because this is not fully automatic, then it just requires you to place the stylus at the beginning of the record yourself. This is a handmade unit, and as with Audio-Technica turntables that I just talked about, the Orbit is belt-driven, and a difference here is that when you switch speeds, you have to manually adjust the belt to go from 33 to 45. Now, U-Turn has made that process easier with a grooved platter to keep the belt from slipping off when doing this, like some of their previous models. There's no starting and stopping automatically with the U-Turn Orbit. It's old school manual. And it also has a built-in anti-skate, which is set up and fixed at the factory. And the stylus is an 1891B, which also is conical. Now, the basic version does not come with a built-in phono stage, so you'll either need to buy an external phono stage, have an amp or a receiver that has a phono stage, or get a pair of powered speakers that have a phono stage. But you can also have an upgrade done to your U-Turn Orbit by spending another $75, and U-Turn will put one in for you. And that's their own. That's the Pluto. It might be the Pluto 2, based on the Pluto 2. I'm not quite sure. But anyways, it's designed by them. So you can spend a little bit more and have that phono stage installed. And the customer service at U-Turn is absolutely incredible. They truly do care about their product and their customers. Moving on, at about $350 is the Music Hall MMF 1.3. I have no idea how they name these things. But anyway, this also is belt driven and has an adjustable speed control. So there's no need to move the belt manually like you do with the U-Turn. And this also has the ability to play 78 RPM records, which actually is a rarity these days, especially at turntables at this level. It has a phono stage that's built in, and it comes with an AT3600L cartridge. But with the Music Hall, you can upgrade the cartridge at a later date, unlike the Audio-Technica turntables that I showed earlier. The Music Hall also has adjustable anti-skate. For all intents and purposes, the Music Hall looks and feels like a mid-level turntable. It's a really great entry-level one to start out with. The term punches above its weight fully applies here. On to the last one on my list, and this one is about $400. It's the pro-ject T1. Now, I'm a fan of pro-ject and its products. Earlier this year, I reviewed the pro-ject T2 and loved it. I also own their tube phono stage and one of their record cleaning machines. Now, the T1 is belt-driven, just like all the others on this list, and it's all manual, but it does not have a built-in phono stage. As with the U-Turn Orbit model that I showed earlier, you will need to get an external phono stage or have an amp or receiver that has a phono stage. Now, this also has anti-skate that is set for you at the factory, so you do not need to adjust for that or even think about it. It comes with an elliptical stylus, the Ortofon OM5E, for extracting extra detail out of the groove compared to conical styli, as featured with most of the entry-level turntables that we just discussed. The platter is glass, another thing which is very classy, and it does set it apart from the rest on this list. So there you have it. If you or someone you know is just looking to get into vinyl records, one of these turntables is a great way to start out without breaking the budget and without spending too much money and without a lot of hassle. And you really don't need a lot of extra equipment to enjoy vinyl records. If you have any questions at all on any of what I just talked about, please reach out to me. And what I'd love to know is, for those of you who already have a turntable, what is your setup? I'm reaching out to folks, be it someone who's been into it forever or is just starting out, to know what their setup is. So take a picture, send it to me. I'm going to be showcasing some of these on this channel and also in the newsletter, which is free. And you can sign up for the newsletter at joyofvinyl.com. I also have a link in the description for the newsletter. So if you found any of this information helpful, please hit the like button down below and subscribe to the channel so you'll know when new ones come out. And as always, thank you for being here. And until next time, take care of yourself, enjoy your records, and I'll see you soon.